Hari Om. We shall chant from the beginning of second chapter. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Dvitiyodhyayah. Sanjay Uvacha. Tam tatha kripaya vishtam. Ashrupurna kulekshanam. Vishedantamidam vakyam. Uvacha madhusudanaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Kutastva kashmalamidam. Vishame samupasthitam. Anaryajushthamasvargyam. Akirtikaram Arjuna. Klebhyam masmagama partha. Naitatvayupapadyate. Kshudram hridaya dorbalyam. Tektvotishta parantapa. Arjuna Uvacha. Katham bhishmamaham sankhe. Dronancha madhusudana. Ishubhi pratiyotsyami. Pujarha varisudana. Guru nahatva hi mahanubhavan. Shreyo bhoktum bhakshamapi haloke. Hatvartha kamanstu guruni heva. Bhunjiya bhogan rudhira pradigdhan. So in the first chapter, we saw Arjuna's condition. He was not willing to fight this war, and he gave various arguments from Artha Shastra, Dharma Shastra, as though he was not only trying to convince himself, but was trying to convince Bhagwan Shri Krishna also. And he just became silent. Then Sanjay describes him here in the second chapter that he was filled with so much of sorrow and agitated. And to such a Arjuna, Bhagwan spoke to him. So first of all, Bhagwan said that your emotions and all, they are misplaced. They are not proper. They are not at proper time, proper place. This is not a place for you to express such emotions. This is very important. Then he said, it doesn't befit your family. It is not according to dharma, and it will not give you any fame in this world also. You drop this cowardice. Klebhyam asmagama partha. Naitatvai upapadyate. It doesn't befit you to behave in this impotent cowardice way. It is all weakness of your heart only. So drop it. Stand up and fight this war. Do your duty. Continue with your dharma. So again, Arjuna picks up arguments. He says, how can I fight with Bhishma, Pitamaha, Dronacharya? They are most worshipful. How can I fight with arrows with them? He says that killing such people is not good. Guruna hatvahi mahanubhavan. They are most distinguished, most noble people. And if I kill them, then whatever I indulge later on, the rajya and the sukha and all, it will be like tainted by their blood only. How can I enjoy them? How can I live in this world after killing such noble people? So in this way, various arguments, various things Arjuna was feeling, but he was not sticking to one particular decision. One moment he was thinking that I should not fight. Then he is saying that maybe I should just go away and live on bhiksha. Various type of thoughts were coming into his mind. So he continues with his arguments. The next verse number 6. Na chaitad vidmak kataranno gariyah yadva jayema yadiva no jayeyuhu yaneva hatva na jijivishamaha teva sthita pramukhe dhartarashtraha na chaitad vidmak kataranno gariyah yadva jayema yadiva no jayeyuhu yaneva hatva na jijivishamaha teva sthita pramukhe dhartarashtraha. Here he says that I don't know what will be good. What will be good? Ki na cha etad vidmaha kataranno gariyah. What will be good? What will be better? Whether we fight with them and win this war or let them win. Now this is one more option he came up with. That okay, even if I decide to fight this war, should I fight to win or should I fight to lose? If suppose I cannot escape this war, I have to fight, then maybe I will just act like fighting and maybe we will lose this battle. That is best. Or is it good to fight to win? So I don't understand what is better. Kataranno gariyah yadva jayema, should we win this war? Or yadiva no jayeyuhu, or whether they should win over us. He says, Yaneva hatvana jijivishamaha. Again, same argument he is saying that having killed whom, we don't even want to live in this world. And they are standing in front of us to fight. Yaneva hatvana jijivishamaha. We don't want to live. Teva sthita pramukhe dhartarashtraha. They are standing in front of me to fight this war. I don't know what is good. So he has come up with all options except performing his duties, except following dharma properly. He has come up with various options. One option was that I will just give up all my weapon and let them come and kill me. Another option was that I will just leave this place, go away and live on bhiksha. That was another, that if they don't kill me, if I remain alive, then also I will just live somewhere on bhiksha. Then again another option was, okay, I will fight this war, but I will fight unwillingly. I will allow them to win over me. If they want to kill me while I am fighting, then that is also good. Or maybe I should fight to win the war. So all different types of thoughts were there. He could not come to a firm conclusion. And when we cannot come to a firm decision, we can't go forward. And that is what happens in our life many times, we can't decide properly. Indecisiveness creates a lot of problem in our life. So same type of indecisiveness had come in Arjuna's heart. And whenever we are not sure, we have to take guidance from someone who is wise. We should take guidance from the scriptures. We should take guidance from those who are wise. If my own intellect is not guiding me properly, then I should take refuge in somebody else's intellect, a wise person. So here Arjuna could not see anyone around, and he came to understand that I am thoroughly confused, and then he decided that the only option now is to surrender to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So he surrenders to him. This is a very beautiful shloka wherein Arjuna finally he gives up all his arguments and all and surrenders to Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Very sweet. Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha Prichhami tvam dharma sammodhachetaha Yashreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha Prichhami tvam dharma sammodhachetaha Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Arjuna is saying कि कार्पण्य दोष पहत स्वभावः, that my swabhav, my nature means my antakarana, man buddhi chitta hankar, they have got overpowered by this dosh of karpanya dosh, kripanata, means this low type of emotions and confusions which I am experiencing now, that has overpowered my antakarana. I have been totally captured by this dosha. I cannot think properly now. Kripanata, which included everything. His fear, his shoka, his grief, confusion regarding his duties, everything was there, and he could clearly see that I am not in best of condition. And that is a good sign actually. Because when we come to know that we are not proper, that I am confused, then we will take the initiative to at least surrender to someone who can guide us. At times it happens that we are confused, but we don't acknowledge it. It is said that when somebody is asleep, then we can wake him up. It is possible to wake that fellow up. But somebody is asleep, but he doesn't acknowledge that he is asleep. Or somebody is ignorant, but doesn't acknowledge that he is ignorant. It is very difficult to teach such a person. If I think I am wise, and that is what Arjuna felt, that he was very wise in the first chapter. So if one thinks, one acknowledges one's ignorance, one's confusion, and also one has got faith in someone, then we can surrender to that person. See, Bhagavan Krishna was there with Arjuna for a long time. They had been a very good friends. In the forest also they were together. But this opportunity never came, wherein Bhagwan could teach him this Bhagavad Gita. He could have taught it in the forest also. But that opportunity did not come because Arjuna was not ready. And it is said, when we are not ready to listen, then there is no use teaching or telling about this. So Karpanya dosha, here he came to understand that I am totally, thoroughly confused. My antakarana is overpowered by this grief and this fear, etc. Therefore he tells Bhagwan, Ki pruchhami tvam, I am asking you, I am requesting you to tell me. He also says, dharma sammoda chetaha. I am confused regarding dharma also. I don't know exactly what I should do, what is right. I am thoroughly confused. Because he gave so many options, but he could not choose any one of them as the best. Thoroughly confused. Dharma sammoda. Whether this is my dharma to fight, not to fight, go away, do, could not understand anything. So dharma sammoda chetaha. My intellect is totally confused, deluded regarding what is dharma. See, dharma is one of the most difficult thing to comprehend also. And it can be comprehended only with the help of the scriptures. By ourselves, we cannot know what is right and wrong. It is very difficult. Certain things we might know, but otherwise it's very complex to understand what exactly is right or not right. Even big, great masters also sometimes get confused regarding dharma. A similar situation happened in the story of Ramayana also. That Ramchandraji had to go to the forest. Dashrath Maharaj. Dashrath Maharaj had given his vachan to Kaikeyi. And as I said last time also, the whole basis of dharma is also to keep your word, keep your promise. There was no written thing and all. There was no stamp paper and no witness. Nothing was there. Dashrath Maharaj would have said, no, मैंने ऐसा कुछ वचन नहीं दिया था. जाओ कोर्ट में. But no, he knows. So he had to keep that promise. And the son also, according to his own dharma, he has to follow whatever his elders, his parents tell him to do. So when Ramchandraji was told that there is a change in program, you have to go to the forest for 14 years. You won't be coronated. You have to go to the forest. He accepted willingly, happily. He said, yes, I will do that. I will go to the forest. Bharat will become the king. Very good. Nothing like that. So he accepted and he decided to go. Then Sita ji also said, I want to come with you. I cannot remain here. He tried to tell her that it is not, I am not going for some picnic or something. In the forest, lot of bad elements and all wild animals and all sorts of things are there. So it is safe for you to remain here. I will come after 14 years. She said, no, I want to be with you only wherever you are. That is my dharma. So he said, okay, you come. Then Lakshmana came. He said, I also want to go with you, come with you. He says, no, Baba, why all of you want to come with me? You stay here. You take care of my parents. You take care of the kingdom. You help them. You be here with your wife and with my parents. He says, no, I don't want to stay. Wherever you are, that is my Ayodhya. Wherever you and Sita ji are my parents, I want to be with you only. I don't want to stay here. So finally Bhagwan accepted, okay, you also come. So they went to the forest. That was dharma for Ramchandra ji. He just obeyed his parents and he went to the forest. Yeah. Then Bharat ji came. I am telling you this so that you will understand the intricacies of dharma. Then Bharat ji was not there. He was wherever he was. He came and he came to know that he was told that his father expired. He came and he was so much of filled with sorrow. And when he came to know that Ramchandra ji had to go to the forest and all because of my mother, she wanted me to become king and all, he just could not bear with the whole idea. And he said that this is very, very, very wrong, which he told his mother also, that what you have done is absolutely wrong. You have sent Ramchandra ji to the forest and you want me to become king? How is it possible? It's not possible. Then after they finished the last rites of the father and all, there was this assembly and all the wise people gathered and they told Bharat ji that okay, your father now was a very great person. We have performed the last rites, everything. Now, listening to his words, your brother has gone to the forest. That is dharma for him. Again, listening to the same father, you have to take up the kingdom now. You become the king. That is dharma for you. All of them said, Vasishtha and all those rishis and other elders and all, they said you should become the king. That time, Bharat ji gave a talk in the assembly. He said what all the elders are saying and all, it's very good and I understand that this is what you think is dharma. But I feel, personally I feel that is not dharma for me. For me, going to the forest and serving Ramchandra ji, I think is my dharma. Taking this kingdom, I don't think is my dharma. And he gives all the arguments and he spoke in such a way that everyone was stunned. Like first they had the feeling that it was all Bharatji's plan to take this kingdom, etc. But then they realized the greatness of Bharat. And he said that I will go to the forest, request Ramchandra ji to come back. And anyway, if somebody has to stay in the forest, I will stay in the forest. Let him come. So next day, he goes to the forest, takes everything with him so that he can coronate Ramchandra ji in the forest itself and bring him back. So everyone was stunned. Even Vasishtha, who was a great rishi who knew everything about dharma, he said, even I did not fully comprehend dharma. Then he said, Bharat ji is the very embodiment of dharma. So he went to the forest, he requested Ramchandra ji that you come. But Ramchandra ji said, no, I won't come. This is dharma for me. So there is a dialogue between Ramchandra ji and Bharat. Bharat is saying, you take the kingdom. Ramchandra ji says, you take the kingdom. It was a very strange sort of dialogue. And finally, then it was decided that Bharat will take the Padukas and rule the kingdom in the name of Ramchandra ji. He said, this kingdom will remain yours only. I will not take. But I will rule in your name till you return. Then once you return, you can take back your kingdom. So that is how the kingdom was ruled for 14 years. And Bharat ji, he felt that since Ramchandra ji has gone to the forest and he is walking on that barefoot on that ground, he felt that I should remain below him. So he dug a hole and used to remain there underground sort of, so that he is below Ramchandra ji. And he ruled very efficiently the kingdom. He took care of everything. Not that, oh, I will not look after it. No, he took care of everything. He increased even the wealth of the kingdom, and everything was followed precisely. A very dharmic Rajya. Many times we talk about Ram Rajya. Many people think that Bharatji, he ruled for 14 years. That is called Ram Rajya. That is the Ram Rajya, because he ruled in the name of Ramchandraji, following the path of dharma, where everyone were doing their duties and living happily in a harmonious way. So to understand the intricacies of dharma sometimes is very difficult, and the only Aadhar are the scriptures. But even great people might get confused, little deluded. But at a given moment, given time, whatever we have understood from the scriptures, we have to just follow it sincerely. And one thing we have to understand, as I said yesterday also, the ultimate goal of this dharma is take us toward the state of enlightenment. Harmony in the present moment and enlightenment in future. Harmony within ourselves and around us, and ultimate goal is to attain the state of enlightenment. Means when we live in this world, we should live happily, peacefully, harmoniously, but all of us should move towards that state of enlightenment. If not in this life, then in future life. That is the direction of this dharma. Dharma is taking us towards moksha and the present prosperity, all around prosperity and moksha. So Arjuna was thoroughly confused because he did not know, because he identified with his body, he identifies with his personality, and he looked at everything, everyone from a limited standpoint, as a father, mother, brother, sister, guru, and all those things. So he says, Dharma samhoda chetaha. I am thoroughly confused regarding dharma. Therefore, yashreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me. Ki he Bhagwan, what is shreya that you tell me? Nishchit. Nishchit means with firm conviction and determination. One thing. Clearly, you tell what I should do. Not that you do this also, do that also. कुछ भी करो. सब कुछ ठीक है. Nowadays we go to someone, their advice is like that only. ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है, कुछ भी करो. की फर्क पैंदा? सानू की. So you go with one doubt and you come back with 10 doubts. The 11th one is whether that fellow is really sensible or not, that also you. So therefore, Bhagwan, you please tell me, Yashreyaha, that which is Shreya. I said there are these two important terms, Shreya and Preya. Preya is what is pleasant. Immediately what we feel delights us, what is pleasant, which is felt by our mind. See, our mind is connected to our senses, and senses are connected to the world. And whatever is conducive to my mind, whatever is conducive to my samskar, it gives me immediate pleasure, immediate gratification at the level of my senses, at my level of my mind. I feel a sense of gratification. But if I continue on that path, in the long run, it is not good. Not good for me, health-wise also, and not good for me in the long run. It will not take me towards moksha. So that's called path of pleasant. People generally understand this path. Money, pleasure, name, fame, अच्छे कपड़े पहनो, बड़ा मकान हो, गाड़ी हो, घोड़ा हो, that type of thing, that it immediately we feel, I am on the top of the world. But if you continue on this, where does it lead? Afterwards, what do we have in our hand? Kuch nahi. People feel empty. See, even those who are so-called successful and very rich and all, after some time suddenly they feel a great sense of vacuum in their life. They feel empty. Kya bhi kya sab ye mil gaya. Still I am not happy. Still I am not feeling satisfied. What is this now? So, that prayer, path of prayer it is called. Then there is this path of Shreya. Shreya means that which is good for me, not only now, but in the long run also. And not only good for me, good for everyone. The path of good takes me towards enlightenment. Path of prayer takes me more and more into samsara only. So this path, these two-fold paths, they are always there in front of us. At every moment, we have this choice. At every moment, we can choose the path of Shreya or the path of prayer. Generally, attached to the body and affected by our mind and all, we choose the path of prayer. But a wise person chooses the path of Shreya. So here Arjuna was confused, but still he is saying that please tell me what is Shreya for me. And that I will sincerely follow. So yash Shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me. Nishchit, with logic, with proper rationality, explain it to me properly so that I am convinced about it and I can follow it sincerely. But why should I tell you? He says, Shishyasteham. I am your Shishya. I am Shishya. Shishya, Guru Shishya Sambandha is one of the most sacred relationship mentioned in our scriptures. More than our parents, more than even relationship with God, is considered the relationship with the teacher. Because teacher is one who releases us from this samsara. All other relationships are temporary. All of them will go away. But the relationship with our teacher and with God will remain. So here Arjuna himself surrenders to Bhagavan Krishna. He says, please accept me as your Shishya. Shishyasteham. Shishya is one who is willing to follow the discipline, willing to follow the advice given by the teacher. See, there are different types of people are there. There are those who are totally involved with the world only. They are totally in the world, worldly, involved or bound in this samsara. They are called Vishayi. Vishay mein hi they feel satisfaction. Khao, piyo, aish karo and all. But after being like that, now and then we get some kicks in life. We get disturbed. We start thinking, wondering, is this everything about life or is there something more? We start thinking, we start contemplating. Then we become Viveki. And such Viveki people, after contemplating, after understanding, after doing some satsang, they come to know that our ultimate goal is to attain moksha. इसमें कुछ रखा नहीं है. One has to become free of this samsara. So that Viveki becomes Mumukshu. Such a Mumukshu then approaches a teacher and requests him to guide him on this path towards moksha, and he is willing to do the sadhana, do the practice to reach. So from Mumukshu he becomes a sadhaka. And then through this spiritual practice finally attains the goal, he becomes Siddha. So Vishayi, Viveki, Mumukshu, Sadhak and Siddha. So here Arjuna had reached that state. He understood. He had approached Bhagwan, and now he was like a mumukshu. He had approached him, and now he was willing to become a sadhak also. So when we accept, accept someone as our teacher, and when the teacher accepts us, and we are willing to follow the path, we become sadhak. Just by wishing that I want to be free of this samsara, we cannot become free. We have to put forth effort. We have to become sadhak. So here Arjuna was willing to become that sadhak. So he says, Shishyasteham Shadhimam, that please teach me. Teach me. I am willing to listen and learn from you. Please teach me. Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam, I am totally surrendered to you. I am totally surrendered to you. You teach me. Complete dependence here. Arjuna said, I have surrendered to you. I am your Shishya now. You please guide me. You teach me. So from this verse onwards, like he accepts himself as a Shishya, and Bhagwan starts teaching him. One more verse is there where he expresses what exactly he wants from Bhagwan. He says, Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yaschokamuchoshanamindriyanam avapya bhumavasapatnamruddham Rajyam suranam api chadipatyam nahi prapashyami mamapanudyat yaschokamuchoshanamindriyanam avapya bhumavasapatnamruddham. Arjuna says that I don't see anything in front of me in future also which can remove the sorrow, intense sorrow which I have in my heart. He says, Yachokam uchoshanam indriyanam, the sorrow, shokam, which is burning my senses, which is drying my senses. I don't see anything which can remove this sorrow or grief. See, there are certain things, sadness sometimes come in our life, but we know certain objects we get, or we meet some people, or we attain something in this world, and that sorrow also goes away. One moment we are unhappy, and next moment we are very happy. Today I am very happy. The next day you go again, he is sad. Then again he is happy. So, temporarily we get release from our sorrow, but again it comes. So it happens. But as I said, grief is such that I know deeply that nothing in this world can remove that grief. Somebody's death or loss, I know that nothing can remove. When that heart is overpowered by grief, it cannot be removed through pleasures of this world, through wealth of this world, through any achievements of this world. Many times people achieve great things, have a lot of wealth also, but deep within they are unhappy. Outwardly they may show happiness also. They can smile, they throw party. So they seem to be enjoying, but deeply they are unhappy. They have everything, but अंदर का जो sorrow है वो नहीं जा रहा है. Similarly here Arjuna, because of his intelligence, he could see in future, and he is saying that even if I get the whole kingdom of this world, the entire earth, suppose it belongs to me, avapya bhumau asapatna vriddham, without any enemies, and samruddham, lot of prosperous earth, and I become the emperor of this earth. Or even if I gain dominion over the gods, Suranam apicha adhipatyam, even I become the king of all the gods also, and I become king of their Swarga. Even if I get that, I can imagine, even if I get that, I don't think that will remove the sorrow which I am experiencing in my heart, which is as though drying up my senses. I don't see that removing my sorrow. So he was filled with this grief at such a deep level, he could experience it at a deeper level. See, only even sadness or sorrow, when one experiences the very depth of sorrow, we will be able to appreciate the beauty of this self-knowledge. Thoda upar sorrow we experience, and then we get little bit of joy in this world, we remain satisfied. Such sorrow was experienced by Gautam Buddha also. He had all the pleasures of this world, he had all the wealth of this world, he was to be the next king also. His father had given him all facilities, everything was there with him. But when he went to see his own kingdom around, he could see people are suffering. They were suffering in birth, they were suffering in disease, they were suffering about old age, they were suffering of every kind, everywhere. He could feel it deeply. He asked his minister also that, will I also become old? Will I also get disease? Is it possible? He said, yes. Will I die? He said, yes, you will also die. So he felt a deep sense of sorrow, grief. And he could understand, vividly see, कि sarvam dukkham dukkham, sarvam kshanikam kshanikam. He experienced this world as very temporary. Everything is very kshanikam. Even if we gain something, it is for a short time. And sarvam dukkham. Then he decided to seek that which will release him of all this sorrow. So he started walking this path of enlightenment. So similarly, here also Arjuna could experience the deep anguish, sorrow or grief in his heart, and he felt that even if I gain the kingdom of this world or the heavens, I won't be happy. It's a very interesting experiment which we have to do. Whatever life we are leading now, and whichever direction we are going, physically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, we should try to project ourselves in future and ask ourselves this question, that if I continue living in this way, in 1 year, in 5 years, 10 years, wherever I will be, is that what I want in life? Or I want something else? When the time of death comes, will I be satisfied that I have lived a very good life? Good life means not party life, but fulfilling life. Will I be satisfied? So I should ask that question. And if I feel that no, I won't be satisfied, then now is the time we can change the direction. So here Arjuna is thinking as a warrior that okay, I am fighting this war and I gain this kingdom. All these our people will be dead. Suppose I get the whole kingdom of this earth. Suppose I become the king of the Devatas also. Will I be happy? Will that give me satisfaction? Will that give me joy? And he felt sincerely that no, I won't be happy. I won't be happy. So therefore, hey Bhagwan, you tell me what is good for me, what is Shreya for me, that you guide. So in this way, when Arjuna surrenders to Bhagwan Sri Krishna, then Bhagwan guides him. Now here Sanjay is describing what happened. Sanjaya uvacha evam uktva hrishikesham gudhakesha parantapa nayotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim babhuvaha evam uktva hrishikesham gudhakesha parantapa nayotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim babhuvaha. Sanjay uvacha. Sanjay is describing the whole scene, everything, what happened on the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. So he is addressing Dhritarashtra as Parantapa. In some reading, there is Parantapaha also. If it is Parantapaha, Visarga is there, then that is the name of Arjuna, who is also called Parantapa. But if that Visarga is not there, then it is a vocative case, and Sanjay is addressing Dhritarashtra as Parantapa. Parantapa means one who gives that heat or trouble to the enemies. It's called Parantapa, warrior, great warrior. So Sanjay is saying, hey Parantapa, ki Gudhakeshaha, that is Arjuna, who had conquered sleep, who was able to even fight in darkness. Such Gudhakesha, Rishikesham evam uktva, having spoken to Bhagwan Sri Krishna in this way, what did he do? He said, Na yotsyeti govindam. Finally he said, Na yotsya, I will not fight. Hey Govinda, I will not fight. Saying this, he became silent. Now the question is, just now he said, I am surrendered to you, and already he had decided, I will not fight. What it means is that till you tell me what is Shreya for me, till I get fully convinced, till that time I will listen to you. I will not fight this war. Not that while fighting you keep telling me. I will not fight till that time. So, na yosyeti govindam uktva tushnim babhuvaha. He became absolutely silent. And our Pujya Gurudev also writes that when the Jiva becomes silent, then Ishvara starts speaking. When the Shishya is silent and listening, then the teacher can speak. See, it is very difficult for a person to become silent. And it's very difficult to listen to someone. Sometimes I find it great ascharya that all of you come and listen to me. Sachmuch, it's a great wonder only. You sit silently and listen. Some of them doesn't sit silently, their mobile rings. But still, to sit and listen to someone is very difficult. We might not be listening silently. Our mind is constantly saying something, talking something. Our Guruji used to say that there are different type of people who listen. There are those who listen properly, they are called Shrota. But there are those who are Sota. And there is a third variety called Sarota. So, ये काटने का होता है ना, सुपारी. That whatever you speak, they keep on cutting it. They're negating whatever you say. नहीं नहीं ये तो ठीक नहीं है, ये नहीं हो सकता, ये all. So sarota के समान they listen, और sota के समान, और shrota properly. So here also Arjuna became absolutely silent but receiving everything, ready to listen, ready to listen. We should be also ready to listen from the scriptures, from the teacher, absolutely like a receptacle, available. Then wonder will happen. So tushnim babuhaha. Further, Sanjay says, Tamovacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor madhe Vishidantamidam vachaha Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata. Tam uvacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata. Sanjay is telling, again addressing Dhritarashtra as Bharata. Because from the Bharata Vamsha, he's calling it Bharata. Our country is also named as Bharata. It's a very beautiful name. Bha means light. Rata means one who revels. Revels in the light. Light of what? Knowledge. Light of wisdom. Wisdom is always compared to light. So one who revels in the light of wisdom is called Bharata. So, He Bharata, Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha, when Bhagavan Sri Krishna heard Arjuna and when he became silent, a very strange thing Bhagavan did. Prahasanniva, as though laughing. He did not laugh loudly. Hasan means to laugh. Prahasan means laugh loudly. But he did not laugh outwardly, but within, as though laughing. Now it's very strange. Arjuna is in sorrow, pain, and here Bhagavan Krishna is as though laughing within. So there are various commentators, they give their various interpretation and all. Some say that Bhagavan Krishna wanted to give this knowledge to us, and he wanted Arjuna to become his Shishya, so that he can take this knowledge. So he was very happy that, abhi ho gaya mera kaam. That is one thing. Another is Arjuna is feeling that sorrowful, miserable, and Bhagavan knew what was his problem and he knew what is the solution. Just imagine, suppose somebody is sick. I think something is happening to me, my heart is beating and all those things and feeling giddy and all. Doctor ko bulao, doctor ko bulao. Doctor comes and everyone is agitated at home. You are also agitated. And doctor just looks at you and all and he smiles. When doctor smiles, you feel, kuch to theek hoga shayad. Doctor ko pata hai kya problem hai. Yeah? So when he knows what is the disease, what is the problem, what is the solution, he smiles. Similarly, Bhagavan knew what was the problem with Arjuna and what was the solution, he smiled. Again, there is a beautiful comparison we can do. The Shishya is there filled with sorrow. Shishya is Shokakul, filled with that Shoka. And Guru is Prahasanna. So, and that Prasannata is coming from the very depth of his being. Bhagavan is the very embodiment of that supreme reality. Bhagavan is that supreme reality himself, which is Ananda Swarup. So Ananda Swarup Bhagavan or Ananda Swarup Guru and Dukhi Shishya in the beginning. And then that dialogue. So it's a beautiful dialogue. The whole Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue of grief and happiness. And finally, both become happy. It's a dialogue between confusion and knowledge. It is dialogue between fear and fearlessness. A dialogue between Jiva and Ishvara. So it's the most fascinating thing. Actually, Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge which is revealed here, is the most fascinating. As we study, you will understand the beauty of it. So Rishikesha, the master of the senses, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Vishidantam Idam Vachaha. Arjuna, who is Vishidantam, who was filled with grief, right in the middle of the battlefield, in between the two armies, Bhagwan spoke to him. So the knowledge is given wherever the situation, the problem was there itself the solution was given. Also the whole Bhagavad Gita is presented here in the battlefield. See, we have the Upanishads which are revealed in a very serene atmosphere of the forest and all. But this Bhagavad Gita is revealed in the middle of the battlefield. It shows that it is a philosophy which can guide us even in the middle of all chaos and confusion and bring us out of that. So, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Vishidantam Idam Vachaha. Now, from the next verse onwards, Bhagwan starts the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Before we go to that verse, a little bit about the various commentaries which are written on Bhagavad Gita. See, Bhagwan Sri Adi Shankaracharya Ji, his commentary is the most famous and most ancient available. Even before him, there were some commentators who had written commentary, but they are not available. So he is the most famous and most authentic, most beautiful commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. See, it is very difficult to comprehend this text without the help of this commentary. In order to understand the depth of each and every verse, we need the support of this commentary. Bhagwan Shankaracharya Ji has not only written commentary on this Bhagavad Gita, but also on Upanishads, the 10 Upanishads, and on Brahma Sutra. So he is known as a Bhashyakar also. He has the understanding of the entire Vedas. So with that understanding of the whole Vedas, he can speak on each and every verse with full conviction and with that authority, proper authority. So it becomes very helpful and important to understand this Gita with the help of this commentary. Many other people have also written after him. So many acharyas have written commentaries in different languages. Like in Maharashtra, we have Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj who has written commentary on Bhagavad Gita. It's called the Jnaneshwari in Marathi. And in modern times also, so many great masters, they have written commentary. And our Pujya Gurudev has also written a very beautiful commentary. And Pujya Gurudev, he takes the Adhar, support of Shankaracharya's commentary. I will also, when I speak on this Bhagavad Gita, I will take full support of Bhagwan Sri Adi Shankaracharya's commentary. Whatever I speak will be what Shankaracharya Ji is saying. I am not telling my own story. I will be adding little bit masala into it, but not to change the meaning, but to bring out the meaning which Bhagwan Shankaracharya Ji has written with some examples or some other things. But the main message or main theme will be what Shankaracharya Ji is saying. So even if you have to study by yourself, you can take that support at home and study it. It will be most fascinating. So Shankaracharya ji writes his commentary from the 11th verse onwards. So the first chapter and till this 10th verse, he just says that the whole thing, he comments on that, he says the whole thing is to convey to us the source of our problem. He says, Praninam shoka mohadi samsara bija bhuta dosha udbhava karana pradarshanaarthatvena vyakhyayo grantaha. That to show that shoka and moha, which was experienced by Arjuna, is the cause of our samsara, cause of our sorrow, cause of this samsara. He says that when a person has got this shoka and moha, then what does he do? He gives up his duties. And he does paradharma or adharma or just doesn't do anything. And when we do that, we incur more and more confusion in our life. We incur more and more sin, and we get caught up in what we call this samsara. See, in order to come out of this, our bondage, what we have to understand is that we should first make our actions right. Action should be proper. Our understanding of what I should do, what I should not do, should be proper. Because at this level, we are experiencing the effect of our actions only. Right from our childhood till now, whatever you are experiencing is the result of your actions. Actions we not only perform with our body, but we also perform with our mind, with our intellect. Our emotions also a type of action. Our attitude, our tendencies are also type of action. Our values which we express is also an action. So based on our action, we get the result in this world. All the actions which we have performed in the past, they are also giving us the result. And what we are doing now will give us result in future. So the first step is to understand and rectify our actions. If we commit mistake in performing action, then we get caught up in this samsara. And that mistake happens when we are deluded, confused regarding what to do, what not to do. When we are overpowered by grief, when a person is sorrowful, grieving, he does something wrong. When we are overpowered by fear, we do something wrong. When we are overpowered by jealousy, greed, pride, all this, we do something wrong. And when we do something wrong, we suffer. That suffering itself is called samsara. So in order to come out of this samsara, we should make our actions proper. But in order to make our actions proper, now we should know what is our goal in life, where we have to go, where we have to reach. And that goal is what we call self-realization, self-knowledge, to know myself as I am. So therefore, the second chapter, Bhagavan starts by giving this self-knowledge to Arjuna. See, you will find that as soon as Bhagavan starts speaking and all, and after listening to this, the next question which Arjuna will ask is about the realized master only. He forgets about all his problems and all, and he asks about that. So therefore, to give an introduction to self-knowledge, Bhagavan now begins the teaching. So the 11th verse, very beautiful, let us chant. Ashochananvashocastvam प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः अशोचानन्वशोचस्त्वम् Shri Bhagavan Vach. Bhagavan, he says that, hey Arjuna, Ashochananvashochastvam pratnyavadanscha bhashase. Ki hey Arjuna, you are grieving for those who should not be grieved. Ashocha means who should not be grieved. You need not cry over them. Ashochan anvashochastvam, but you are grieving. You are grieving on these people who should not be grieved. But at the same time, pradnyavadanscha bhashase. You speak like a wise person. You speak like a pradnyavad. Pradnya means a wise person. You are speaking like a wise person. He started speaking about Arthavad and what you call Artha Shastra and Dharma Shastra and so many things. You talk like a wise person, but you behave like a foolish person. You are grieving for those who need not be grieved. Now this was a quite shocking thing, because he was grieving for Bhishma Pitamaha. He was grieving for Dronacharya. They were not dead, but he could imagine that they will die. This war is such that nobody survives. So he was grieving for them, and Bhagavan says, you don't have to grieve for them. Why? There are two reasons. One is that these people are not bad people. They are good people. They have lived their life in a very good way, in a dharmic way. So, for those who have led a good life and finally they die, there is no need to grieve. Even as I gave example of the Ramayana, Bharat was grieving like anything when his father died. So these great teachers and all told him, they told that how your father lived the path of dharma. So now you don't have to grieve, because after living such a life, he will always go to a higher plane. There will be Shubha Gati for him. So for him, you don't have to grieve. So similarly here, Bhagavan is telling, you don't have to grieve for Bhishma Pitamaha. You don't have to grieve for Dronacharya. They were great people. They are great people. And even if they die, it is not a loss. They will go for their further gati only. That is one thing. Another meaning which Bhagavan wants to convey now is you should not grieve because they are nitya. Because nobody dies. Because the self doesn't die. That is what Bhagavan wants to convey. And it's a very striking, very powerful thing. So he wanted to say it in a very striking way, that you are grieving for those who should not be grieved. So they are nitya. And still you are talking as a prajnavad. Prajnavadanscha bhashase. Why? He says, Gataso na gatasunscha nanushocanti panditaha. Pandita means those who have the knowledge of the Supreme Self. They are called Pandit. This is a technical word. Shankaracharya ji writes, Panda Atma Vishaya Buddhihi. One who has the knowledge of the Atma, the Supreme Self, is called, that Atma is called, Atma Vishaya Buddhi is called Panda, and one who has it called Pandita. So Pandit means the knower of the Self. The knower of that Supreme Self, they don't grieve. They don't grieve for those who are alive, and they don't grieve for those who are dead also. Gataso na gatashonscha nanu shochanti panditaha. See, at a limited standpoint, when we see, we talk about gain, we talk about loss. But from a different canvas, when we look, our whole perspective will change. For example, if suppose some like little children and all, sometimes some guest comes at home, they stay for a few days, and the children get attached to them, and finally the guest says, okay, now today we are leaving. So बच्चे रोने लगते हैं, जोर जोर से. Sometimes they howl like anything. नहीं नहीं नहीं, आप नहीं जाओगे, no, you stay. So बड़े लोग क्या कहते हैं उनको? बड़े लोग ऐसे, they don't cry like that. They say, नहीं नहीं, don't cry. He will come again. He is just going back home. You don't have to cry. You can talk to him on phone. You can, he is there and all. Some reasoning but we are not unhappy as that child is unhappy. We are not howling like him, because we know that person is just going there to other city. Similarly, a wise person looks at life from a broader canvas. That what we see as only one lifetime, he can see in future also. That one who is living now in this particular body, he will be there in the future life also. He will be there in some other form, with some other name, and he will be always present. So a person who has got this knowledge of the self, he knows that self is nitya. So there is no need to grieve for the self. Again, these people who you are grieving, they are noble people. Even when they die, their gati will be Shubha gati only. So you don't have to cry for them. You don't have to weep for them. So gataso na gatashonscha na anushochanti panditaha. Here this Bhagavad Gita begins with the term ashochan anvashochastvam. That you are grieving for those who should not be grieved. And Bhagavad Gita concludes, Bhagwan's teaching concludes with a very famous shloka, कि सर्वधर्मान परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्य मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. Don't grieve. I will release you from all bondage. Don't grieve. So don't grieve. And here also he says, you are grieving for those who should not be grieved. So the whole Bhagavad Gita's message, Bhagwan is giving us something by which we can become free of our grief. We can become free of this samsara. So he said that Pandit doesn't grieve for those who are alive, those who are dead. But why you say I can't grieve? They will die. Why you say? So that how this Atma is Nitya, that Bhagwan will now explain in the following verses, which we will see tomorrow. Very beautiful verses are there. Tomorrow we'll see. We'll sit silently for a few minutes and then conclude with a prayer. पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।